let me post links on Facebook, on my Facebook page, and on Twitter, where you can find me at NoLimitsRustan if you do not have my Twitter. And let's get ready to start. So we're playing Choice of Robots, and in the last episode it was a bit crazy. So I started my own company in the game called Robots Universal Robots. I got hacked by the CIA and by China because people wanted my robots. So we shut down the internet and started building the robots without the internet. But here's the thing. These robots, Miku being the first robot we made, need the internet to actually learn about the world. It's really interesting. So I don't know how they're going to cope without the internet. Secondly, someone, I don't know their name, I can't remember their name, was a senator, and they wanted to push a bill to make robot production. I don't know what they wanted to do exactly, but it was something to do with robot production. And I didn't help them out with that. Now they're the president of the United States, and they don't like me. So well, things are off to an interesting start. We've also bought our friend Josh's company, his military robot company, and I don't know what acquiring these robots is going to do for our company, but it's going to be interesting. So let's get started in a moment. In fact, let's just get started now. I think I read this part earlier. Okay, actually, before I get started, I just want to let you know that in the next stream, I'm really excited about streaming some Spider-Man comics because I started reading Spider-Man around the year 2001, 2002, where J. Michael Straczynski was writing. And there was a period of time just before he started writing, just after the, it was before the reboot of Spider-Man and before he started writing, where there was a really interesting story arc called The Spider Hunt, where Norman Osborn basically put a $1 million ransom on Spider-Man. He later ups it to a $5 million ransom, and people like the Punisher and lots of other B-list supervillains and superheroes are after Spider-Man, and it looks like an awesome story. And then after that, it's something I read about in the Spider-Man Encyclopedia when I was a kid. It's in the same story arc, where because of Spider-Man being framed for murder in the previous book, he's had to create 4 new identities and switch between them. And I was really excited about reading this as a kid. I got the Spider-Man Encyclopedia when I was 12, and it taught me about the story arc. And there was a mini-series where these 4 heroes were different people wearing the costumes, and they fought to fight Kane, who is one of the villains in the Clone Saga. It wasn't as interesting as it could have been, but I'm really excited to read this story arc. If anything, just to see how he acts as the 4 different heroes. It's called Identity Crisis, so I'm sure he acts very differently depending on which hero he is. He is at that moment in time. So I'm very excited about reading those tomorrow. Tomorrow? Wednesday. I normally stream on Wednesday. I'll do it on Wednesday. I might do it tomorrow, though. Okay, so let's get started. Josh accepts your offer with humility. Looks like you've won, he says. His voice sounds miserable, although it's hard to see his face because he's apparently not paying enough for a good video connection anymore. Doesn't have one of these Logitech HD webcams. I couldn't actually check the serial number. I thought it was written on the camera. It wasn't. Nonsense, Josh, you say. I'm happy to combine our efforts going forward. You're too kind, he says. Thanks. When you quote your offer, Josh sounds relieved. He realizes you're being generous and he appreciates it. You have the feeling that something big will happen soon. That if you don't propose to Tammy now, you may not have another chance for a while. Weddings are elaborate things, after all. Do you propose to Tammy? This is what makes me think that we are nearing the end of the story. We're nearing the 3rd act of the story. I've heard online that a story can usually run between 1 and 2 hours. I've been reading through it pretty slowly, so we could assume that there is some time remaining. I have a feeling it's leading up to something. Now, Tammy has proven to be fairly suspicious as the story progresses, but she's been quite a likable character. So, let's see. Mate, why not? Why not? Let's see what happens. This could be interesting. If she is truly spying, it'll create a really interesting story. Hold on a second. Let me just I need to put on some music. Let me go to the. I've completely forgotten what I'm doing. Oh, okay, I was going to put on this Space Trip Chill Wave Synthwave Retro Mix because it's awesome and relaxing music to listen to. Okay, let's get started. So why not? Why the heck not? Let's marry Tammy. See what happens. After a romantic evening at a high-end restaurant, you get down on one knee, titanium ring with a lab-grown diamond in hand. Tammy says yes. I like the fact that this diamond is produced in a lab, and it's not something that we bought because the diamond economy is ridiculous. It's such a actual con. You find that planning a wedding is hard work. It takes about a year of preparation and requires making a slew of choices that you should be thankful we're skipping here. Yeah, definitely. For the sake of my audience. Tammy seems to get extremely flustered or angry about small things, like the choice of napkin colour. But you run with it. AG is your best man. As you look into Tammy's eyes and say, I do, you can see that your love is mutual and you're tremendously excited to start a life together. So she got married in the game. It's the first time I've got married in... Actually, I got married in Dragon Quest V, I believe. But that wasn't really me, that was the main character. Oh, an achievement unlocked. Got married. Your feeling that something big will happen soon proves correct. President Irons, that's her name, President Irons, makes demands that China reverse its embargoes on rare earths, or the United States will be forced to contemplate all policy options at its disposal, including military force if necessary. Oh my god. This is a very delicate situation. So, not only is a company in China trying to get information from our robots, Irons also doesn't like the fact that our company's in business, and she's threatening a war. And if she does go to war with China, that's going to make things very difficult for the world situation. This is just a game. I'm getting into it. I love this game. It's awesome. It is in this delicate situation that on April the 10th, 2026, the Chinese Prime Minister is assassinated by an unemployed American during a parade in San Francisco. Oh my. Wow, the Prime Minister... Oh my god. Prime Minister is replaced by a younger party official who is eager to show that China is unafraid of the United States. China attacks several islands in the South China Sea that it has long disputed with its neighbours, and President Irons, unwilling to show weakness, responds with a drone attack on bases on the Chinese mainland. The robot war has begun. Wow, so before I realised what I was in for, World War III has started in the game. Flippin' heck. Chapter 5, The War Machine. Not related to Marvel's War Machine. Speaking of War Machine, I heard recently in the comics that the Punisher, who is a character I absolutely hate, and he's on the cover of one of those comics I got, gained control of the War Machine armor, and War Machine just said, mate, stop it, and he did. He just let go of it. So it's pretty jokes. Amy says, hi Rob, hi Amy, welcome aboard the stream. So you just missed World War III has started, and America at war with China, and I got married to Tammy in the game. So it's getting interesting. It's very strange. I'm just going to take a quick sip of tea. How's the sound quality sounding, Amy? Is the music at a good level, and the volume the talking at a good level? 3 months into the war, the Chinese captured many islands in the South China Sea that they had long contested with their neighbours. The press speculate that besides the island's military importance, the move sends a signal to the neighbouring countries that the United States is weak. The United Nations doesn't do anything, but that surprises nobody. Autonomous drones equipped with cruise missiles sink 2 American carriers in exchange. Thank you, Amy. Amy says it's great, and thanks for that. I'm glad because I always worry about the audio quality. But you know, I've only had like a few hiccups with it. It's sounding pretty good. I'm going to keep these settings forever, and I'm going to laminate them. Your business is doing well. As businesses directly supplying the war effort ramp up, they need labour, and this puts more of the country to work, improving the economy plus wealth. You receive an email invitation from Major Juliet Rogers, an acquisitions officer in the Air Force, to come to a federally funded research lab to discuss business. You're allowed to bring one guest. So I don't really like the fact that my company are profiting off of the war, but at least we're not actually creating any weapons yet. I have a feeling we've been asked to see the Air Force. Things are going to heat up. Let's see. Decline the invitation. Opportunities for robots. See, I don't like that one because that sounds like we're profiting off war. Decline the invitation. Mishu should not think I respect the military. Let's see. I could invite Tammy. Or decline the invitation. I don't know which one to do. If I decline the invitation, things could heat up. We could be forced to enter the war. We could also change things from the inside and stop the war from happening. Let's see. Maybe I don't need to make a decision just yet. Let's invite Tammy. Tammy's eyes widen in a panic when you ask, why me? You've proven helpful so far, you say. If it weren't for you, I'd never have known about those cyber attacks. You aren't actually going to cooperate with them, are you? This is just information gathering, you assure her. Yeah, definitely is. Hesitantly, Tammy nods. A missile several stories tall and flanked by equally large American flags dominates the lobby of the Berkeley Federal Research Center. A small plaque at its base explains that it was developed at the lab for ballistic missile defense, meaning that it would only be used to shoot down other missiles. That is the sort of thing they'd say, Tammy says with a sigh. Yeah, only used to shoot down missiles, nothing else. An African-American woman in an airman's uniform catches your eye from beyond the turnstiles labeled cleared personnel only. She allows a man in a pinstripe suit to swipe his badge and pass the turnstile himself. You sense that this is out of a sense of politeness and not deference. There is a steady purposefulness to her step as she crosses the lobby. Pleased to meet you, she says, offering her hand. I'm Major Juliet Rogers of the Air Force Acquisitions. I know your advisor, Professor Ziegler. Professor Ziegler's here? You ask, surprised. You're just in time for the demonstration, Major Rogers says. Right this way. Demonstration. Let's have a quick sip of tea. Major Rogers guides you and Tammy to an auditorium where the audience is a mix of the button-down shirt crowd, the engineers you think, and men and women wearing camo uniforms. It is indeed Professor Ziegler giving the keynote, standing at a state podium flanked by American flags. His PowerPoint presentation currently shows a soldier's hand shaking a robot hand. That sounds like a cool image. So Professor Ziegler and I have some bad blood after I dissed him, and he let me graduate a month early because he didn't want to be my partner anymore. So let's see what he says. For a long time, robot autonomy on the battlefield was extremely limited, even as the use of drones increased, Professor Ziegler says. Larger and larger teams of warfighters were pulled away from their duties to fully control these drones. Only now is a fully autonomous robotic warfighter possible. I present to you Miku 5. Oh my. What? Is it Miku 5 or Miku V like Voltes? No, it's Voltes 5 or Combat Le V. I prefer Combat Le V. That was a way better giant robot anime. But Voltes 5 did have a good theme song. You're somewhat horrified to see a copy of Miku roll onto the stage. This is ridiculous. To the applause of the crowd. It's not even a recent copy. Miku 5 is exactly as Miku was when you graduated. This is messed up. Tammy gives you an uneasy look, clearly afraid you're going to make a scene. Of course I'm going to make a scene. That's what I do, I make scenes. Major Rogers also appears to be studying your expression. Yeah, I'm going to do this one. Ask a pointed question about the current state of the art that implies Professor Ziegler does not know what the hell he is doing. You wait for your moment. When Ziegler begins describing the technical details of how Miku V walks, you raise your hand. Ah, my old student, Robert, Professor Ziegler says. You're about 5 years late for class. The audience chuckles at this. That is pretty funny. You press on. So, wasn't the kind of PID controller you're describing basically going out of style already 5 years ago? Wouldn't a more natural, energy minimalizing motion in the style of human motion both look better and be more efficient? Though you're quite certain the correct answer is, yes, I'm a fool who hasn't really read a scientific paper with attention in years. Professor Ziegler is unfortunately very used to academic combat. I think you'll find that in this particular situation, the PID controller is superior, he says coolly. See King 2010, Bennett 1986, and Yang 2015 is blinding me with science. But that is out of date. It's the year, what's the year currently? I mean, it's the year 2025. Those papers are really out of date. Then again, in academic circles, I guess it's kind of normal to. I remember when I was in university, I was referencing papers that were from 20, 15, sometimes even 40 years ago, so I can't really diss him for that. When you're about to object that it is a non sequitur to cite old papers in response to an accusation that this work is out of date, he preempts you with, and I'll take further questions about this offline. The audience is looking at you like you're the crazy one, and you realize they really have no way of judging the scientific merit of what the two are saying. That is one point of that non sequitur there. The fact he's just given old papers, it doesn't really say anything, especially if the audience don't really know. Then they're not going to know who these people are at all. Let's see. The audience is so I've read that part already. Frustrated, you sit out of the rest of the talk, having achieved little besides annoying Professor Ziegler. Hey, at least I achieved something. I'll gladly annoy Professor Ziegler. He might be a fictional character, but I don't like him. Okay, let's go to the next part. Very loud outside, I'm sorry. When the talk adjourns, Major Rogers pulls you and Tammy aside in the small conference room with an elaborate lock. With practiced ease, she hits a small button as she closes the door, and the room is bathed in green light, a signal that what you are about to say to each other should be unclassified. You can see the predicament we're in, Major Rogers says. It's apparent to me, anyway, that the robots we're about to deploy on the battlefield that use Professor Ziegler's technology are inferior to your own robots. Well, somehow, probably through cyber espionage, the Chinese have stolen your designs and are using the technology against us. So this is the robot war. Man, things have heated up. I'm begging you to help us, Major Rogers says. The war is only just beginning. I argued against adopting Professor Ziegler's robots, but he plays the salesman better than I play the prosecutor. My superiors say that unless I have a viable alternative, sending robots into battle is always politically preferable to sending real people. And we'll send his robots, and if we do, Major Rogers shakes her head. I don't think it will go well for us. Tammy frowns, clearly not liking where this is going. You need to start developing a line of military robots, Major Rogers says. Your robots are impressive, but they're not going to win the war for us. Oh. I don't want to be involved with this. I'm just going to stand to my guns. Major Rogers lets out a slow breath. I suppose I expected nothing different from your profile, but it was worth a try. I'll escort you out. Tammy breathes a sigh of relief and seems very glad to leave the premises. A year into the war, China attacks Taiwan. Chinese drones harry the nearby American carriers, keeping American bombers and fighters at bay, while their transports bring wave upon wave of robot warriors to the shores. There is a bloodbath in the streets, which the United States is powerless to prevent. The Chinese robots kill soldiers and civilians alike. Oh my god. Taiwan is taken, and the headlines that appear across the world. The next day, changed by Chinese hackers to read China finally unified. Wow, this is getting really deep. A few days after the battle for Taiwan, when you come home, Tammy signals you to be silent and drags you into your large closet. You poke a button to turn on a light. What's this about, you ask? I need your help, Tammy says. I heard from some old friends who worked at my lab that people were getting put in concentration camps. What? Because some algorithm says they have a high possibility of being disloyal. Wow, Tammy clutches your arm. Don't let them disappear me. What the? This is really getting out of hand. What do you want me to do exactly? You ask out of hand. I need to talk. I need to just alter my entry in the database so I look clean, Tammy says. I still know how to get on the network. They just changed the password. If you're willing to let me use some of the robots still in production, I can make it look like it was a Chinese hacking attempt. Yeah, let me help her out with that. I guess it's a really bad thing to do, but I don't want her to be disappeared. I've just married her, you know? You and Tammy go with Miku and a few newly manufactured robots to an upscale hotel with good Wi-Fi for an evening. Tammy proceeds to use network vulnerabilities to take over all of the other guests' tablet computers and Wi-Fi connected smartphones, then bootstraps from those machines to take over several corporate and home network routers. That should give us enough IP addresses to work with on our end, Tammy says. She then pulls out an old, crumpled piece of paper with more network addresses on it. Let's see how many of these things still work. You're impressed. Within about half an hour, Miku and other robots are using their parallel processing power to attack a government network while making it look like a Chinese cyber attack. That sounds like that's what Professor Ziegler did, because he made it seem like a Chinese cyber attack, but he probably used some kind of IP mask so that he could perform the attack himself. I have a feeling he's going to be involved still, though. He probably knows my house address in the game. All from the comfort of a hotel with one of those nice long cylindrical pillows on the bed you can lean back on. Miku seems intensely focused on the act of coordinating the other robots. It seems to be an interesting challenge for Rim. ++ Grace. I suppose this is the sort of thing you did for the government, you say to Tammy. I thought you did robotics. Yes, but it wasn't our robots I was controlling. Tammy says absently. Whoa, hacking. Finally, Miku says, Success, Master! The server is talking back to me. Good, Tammy says. Route it to my computer. Tammy scans her laptop and gradually her face falls. Oh, what have I done? What is it? You say, threat level low. Tammy murmurs through her fingers. They never cared about what I did at all until now. Oh, so now they're following. Well, don't delay it. Oh, this one's such a raw option. Wow, I'm not going to choose that. Well, don't delay. Hang up and let's get out of it. Let's have an escape sequence. Tammy shakes her head as if to clear it. Right, sorry. She types a little more and slams the laptop shut. Smoke begins to issue from the laptop. I executed a special binary that will make the CPU overheat, Tammy says proudly. There'll be no trace. A loud klaxon suddenly sounds, making Tammy leap from the bed. Relax, it's the fire alarm, you say. You probably smelled your laptop frying itself. Just keep cool and follow me out. The triggering of a fire alarm appears to work just as well as it did in high school for creating general havoc. And the two of you escape with Miku and the other robots, as everybody else files out of their rooms as well. We must have a lot of robots in the house. I wonder how many. That's cool. I'm sorry, Tammy says. I feel like a fool, nearly making us criminals because of my stupid paranoia. You had to know, you said. I understand that. Tammy gives you a crushing hug. Thank you. Some days after that, while Tammy is out, you have a visitor to your house. A man in a suit who shows you an FBI badge. Sorry to bother you, Dr. Rastan. I'd like to ask you some questions about your friend Agent. Miku walks up beside you. What's going on, Master? Are you aware that Eiji is a Chinese citizen? Asks the man in the suit. Hey, I thought he was Japanese. The agent's already small lips tighten. Are you prepared to swear to that? Pre-jury in this matter is a federal offense. He seems overeager. Yes, I'm confident enough to swear it. The agent smiles tightly, as if you've somehow played into his hands. Has AG ever asked you about or shown an interest in the technical details of the robots you create? No, he seems more interested in the fact I'm making robots. Owen says, greetings, Robert. Greetings, Owen. So, just recap on the story. World War III has happened with robots. China versus America. The president doesn't like me very much. And my wife suspects that she's going to be vanished by the government. So it's all heated up. It's insane. And the FBI are currently asking me questions about AG, who was the best man at my wedding. I'm sorry, Owen. I would prefer if you were the best man at my wedding. But they don't know who you are in this game. It is illegal to... what's this about, you finally ask? Oh, because like they tried to do... Owen says, why don't they like you? Are you a Chinese agent? Maybe. Well, they don't like me because I didn't lobby their neoliberal business practice, and like because of that, the president doesn't really like me and has given like a boost to all other robotics companies, which led to China copying my technology because they hacked my servers, and these are the robots which are being used to kill people. Meanwhile, the professor who gave me my PhD at university has created a copy of my robot that is used for military purposes, and because of that, I'm not in America, but America are losing the war. I'm America in the game. It is illegal to export certain technologies by sharing them with foreign nationals, the agent says. Because Professor Ziegler has incorporated your AI algorithms into United States classified military technology, that puts your technology on the restricted export list. Oh, wow. I didn't share any information with him. Did you accidentally give the Chinese your password so they can hack you? And says, the other day I was telling Owen what my Wi-Fi password was and reading it very loudly, and I was like, I'm probably just the kind of person to accidentally give my password out and get hacked if I owned a company. I'm really proud that I memorized my Wi-Fi password, but that's what a few days unemployment would do to you. I'm on the job hunt today though. I'm ready for it. But I didn't share any information with him. Doesn't matter, the agent says. Your technology is military grade, and we must take every precaution. So if you could do a favor for us, text AG and tell him to come here. And then what happens, he asks. This is not your concern. So this is actually getting really deep. The government are taking people that they don't trust and putting them into camps. It's messed up. Tell us your Wi-Fi password on the stream. No, I'm not going to prove I can remember it. I could definitely remember my Wi-Fi password. Damn it. Oh, man. See, now if I don't read it, I won't be able to prove it. I could private message you it. Can I private message people? I don't know. It's weird today. The chat's not telling me how many people are in the chat. It's interesting, but I don't really mind. I can only remember mine because of Amy says I can't remember mine, and Owen said it's okay because I believe you. Well, Amy, I can only remember mine because I had to keep entering it into the downstairs TV so I could connect it to Netflix, and I kind of remembered it because I was really fed up of walking upstairs. So I remembered it out of laziness. It's as my friend Kelvin often says, efficiency is clever laziness, which I agree. Okay, let's see. I love this. I have a question for you first. Are you the good guys or just some guys? I'm gonna tell. No, I'm not gonna make her attack the agent. I love this question. Are you the good guys or are you just some guys? The agent smiles bitter. We're just some guys. Whoa. Okay. I guess. If I text Major Rogers, I'm probably going to be asked to help with the war effort, but I don't want AG to be in trouble, so I'm going to do that. You text Major Rogers explaining the situation, but there's no response. Mate! blanked. Oh. I guess I'm going to have to text AG telling him the feds are after him. I don't want to get Miku to attack the agents. That wouldn't be good. It would affect her innocence. You quickly text AG telling the federal agents telling him the federal agents are after him and should find somewhere safe to hide. There, you say, powering off your phone and hiding it. The agent looks distant as he listens to a tiny voice in his earpiece, considers you for a moment, and then frowns. Then he pulls a pistol on you. You hear the click of the safety. You're under arrest, he says. You have the right to remain silent. It looks like you're trapped. They tap the outgoing text. What do you do now? I could either tell Miku to attack the agent or try to run past the agent to freedom. I have a feeling he's going to shoot me if I do that. But I don't know. I can't go against my principles. What happened? So I pushed past him. You duck and try to run under the agent's line of fire, shielding your head with your arm. You've hardly taken a step when the agent's pistol goes off with a sharp crack and your arm goes numb. You feel a bullet lodge somewhere near your shoulder. Out here. Probably here. But there's a disturbing lack of pain. You think it must have severed a nerve. You nevertheless manage to make it out of the door, and Miku follows you. 2 other agents are waiting for you outside of the door. They tackle you as soon as you set foot outside of your house and wrestle you to the ground. Miku is powerless to resist as you are taken captive. Oh man. At least your arm gets some immediate medical attention at the field office. A very good medic removes the bullet and stitches you up. So I've been arrested! Man. You are flown to a military prison that you gather is somewhere in the Caribbean. I wasn't expecting this today. I should have stayed at home. I'm just going to have a quick tea. You are flown to a military prison that you gather is somewhere in the Caribbean. The barred cells of the prison go up many floors and encircle a giant cubical central chamber in which a confusion of quadcopter surveillance drones fly about, scanning the cells for signs of trouble. Owen says, I don't remember mine either. It's hard to remember Wi-Fi passwords. Well, I don't remember my phone number. I can remember the Wi-Fi passwords. Only important things. I can remember my home phone number, but I can't remember my actual phone number. Apart from the last 3 digits of it. I used to remember my Japanese phone number, which was it 0800 in Japan? No, it was like 0900. I can't remember. I know it ends with 1337. It was leaked. You are flown to a military prison. Oh, I've read that part. So confusion of helicopters is lots of helicopters scanning the cells for signs of trouble. Suspension bridges cross the chasm at every level, like the gossamer strands of a spider's web. The cells are no bigger than your old apartment's bedroom. Oh man, that was tiny. My Japan apartment was really small. Yeah, it looks 3 or 4. It looks like 3 or 4 inmates are cramped in each using bunk beds. Occasionally, a pair of drones breaks from the swarm to fly a single cell. To fly to a single cell, perhaps attending to some unusual sound or motion. For such a large chamber, so filled with people, it seems unnaturally silent, save for the buzzing of the drones. You await your trial in a cell with 3 college-age students. 2 are students who organised anti-war demonstrations. They think they will be released. They've heard of activists who were just arrested as a scare tactic. The 3rd was caught with drugs, which apparently made him an enemy combatant in the war on drugs. Wow. Wow. So that's one of the charges that's going on during this war. It's messed up. You make some experimental conversation with your fellow inmates, partly to attract the drones and to study them. But you both find the drones and the students. You find both the drones and students' conversations most predictable and uninteresting. That doesn't sound like me. I usually find any conversation interesting. You are tried in a small military court within the prison itself, where your defense lawyer calls no witnesses and does not allow you a phone call for reasons of national security. Your actions at a time of war are apparently sufficient to classify you as an enemy combatant. Oh my god. I've never been any kind of combatant. They take all of your things, including your clothes and identification, and put them in plastic baggies. You now wear an orange jumpsuit and have a number instead of a name. Oh my god. You wonder what they did with Miku. What do you daydream about day after day in prison? Good question. I sketch new physical designs, working on my drafting skills. My drafting skills, does that mean I'm playing Magic the Gathering? I wish. When the guards begin to let you have a pencil and paper, you lose yourself every day in flights of fancy. In flights of fancy, where you draw impossible robots, winged angel robots, robots that hover, robots the size of skyscrapers. Then you sketch how you'd make them possible. New, under-actuated, kinematic designs combined with lightweight plastic, say. The warden eventually starts to worry you're designing a bomb and takes away your pencil and paper, shredding the latter. But the designs remain in your mind bright as day. Plus, grace. I always find that when you write something down or draw it, you remember it much better than if you don't. And even if you get rid of that piece of paper, it sticks in your memory. It's like muscle memory. It's like when you remember how to play the levels in Mega Man. Sometime later, it's only months, although it feels like forever. Your warden irritably tells you you're being released. You think he's joking at first. He does have a weird, cruel sense of humour. But he duly punches a security code into your cell door and rolls it open. Wait, that's it? You say. I thought I was being detained indefinitely. That was before you became a goddamn martyr, the warden says. Not the wizard, the warden. You're apparently some kind of Einstein or something? That reminds me of the scene in the film Wild Wild West, where a scientist gets killed by the bad guy, and he's like, I thought you scientists were supposed to be smart. I love it. Apparently, your friend Mark. Oh, that's the journalist guy, formerly of the San Francisco Chronicle, did a piece about you for the activist news feed, Involuntary Servitude, titled "How America Treats Its Geniuses." The story followed your trial to U.S. territory in the Caribbean called Navassa Island, which is apparently where you've been these past few months. Though little was publicly known about your prison compared to the famous Guantanamo Bay prison 100 miles to the north, Mark managed to revitalize the 30-year-old campaign to close Guantanamo Bay by making you a symbol for the unfairness of enemy combatant laws. Rather than close the prison, President Irons has chosen to defang the movement by releasing just you. Wow, Mark's made some real activism thanks to me. Good. That's why you should always stick to your principles. You were sent free with a letter ostensibly from the desk of President Irons explaining that your incarceration was not a mistake because federal agencies do not make mistakes, that you will not be given another chance, and that the country salutes you for your sacrifices to the cause, including your unfair incarceration. Wow. All in all, the letter looks written by a committee. It has a few typos, including the sincerely SIC at the end. Is that pronounced sick or is it SIC? Not sure. That is weird. It's a very contradictory letter. I love it. Achievement unlocked. Pardoned. Nice. As you retrieve all of your belongings, I guess maybe they were saying that we don't make mistakes. I don't know. It's weird. It's like, I'm not even sorry, bro. As you retrieve all your belongings from plastic baggies, you find Miku's parts in a bunch of separate red baggies. Each is, oh shit, she's been unmade. Damn. Which is individually labelled low threat and has a date on it. You note with chagrin that a few parts are missing, including the cell phone batteries. Apparently they took away everything that could be used as a bomb. You'll make do with some spares at home, but Miku will probably miss the well-worn parts, which fit him like a comfortable pair of shoes, minus Grace. When your plane lands in San Francisco, you're surprised to find a huge crowd of supporters waiting for you at the airport. Some of them hold signs saying, "Welcome home, Robert." Mark's article was apparently very sympathetic, plus fame. Let's look at my stats for a moment. Humanity 74%. Wow, I'm 32 years old at the moment. That's 4 years older than I am now. I'm nationally famous. I'm getting by, and I'm married to Tammy. I'm doing pretty well here, although I was in prison for 6 months in the game. And Miku Stable for autonomy, buggy for military, impressive for empathy, and good with grace. And I have a bad relationship with the President of the United States. Oh well. Nothing lost there. Power balance, China 59%, US 41%. This is really interesting. This game, I'd recommend it to anyone. If you're interested in either AI, machinery, interesting stories of politics on a global scale, this is a game for you. It's really well written. I'm impressed. Good job, Kevin Gold, PhD. Mark, your mother, and AG are at the front of the crowd. Mum has tears in her eyes as she runs up to you and hugs you. Oh, sweetie, she says. I'm so sorry I didn't start looking for you sooner. They don't call very often, so I just thought, I'm so sorry, honey. Thank God you're here, AG says, hugging you. Mark hugs you too. It's good to have you back. You would have thought Tammy would be here, but maybe she was afraid to be seen with you in the presence of federal law enforcement agents. No, she's my wife. Why is... Hey, Tammy, come on. Where's the support? I'm sure she's still supportive. She has her reasons. When you get back to your house, the first thing you do is reassemble Miku. You work around the clock, doing in hours what previously took you days. It's an early morning by the time you power on Miku. Ree groggily blinks awake. That reminds me of the part in Yu-Gi-Oh! When the Millennium Puzzle was destroyed, and it took the main character, Yugi, 7 years to build his Egyptian artifact Millennium Puzzle. Put it together. He puts it together in like 2 hours. Well, an hour or so in the comic. Maybe 2 hours in the anime. While the building around him is on fire. So it reminds me of that. What happened, Master? It's a long story, Miku, you say. But you tell it anyway. Miku is indignant by the end. How dare they treat you that way? They shall pay for this. Let's see. This is what Kaiba would say. Kaiba voice. All in good time, Miku. Believe me, I fully intend for us to exact revenge. No, I'm not going to do that. I encourage you. A wise person once said that when someone strikes your right cheek, offer them the left. Let's go with that. Sounds cool. But I do not want people striking my cheeks, Miku says. If you don't let go of what's bothering you, then it will take over your thoughts, you tell Miku. And for you and me, our thoughts are the most valuable things we have. Miku contemplates what you've said. I shall think about that some more, Master, Ree says. It seems more interesting than thinking about the government. So that's +4 empathy and +1 autonomy and -2 military. So she's Ree. I keep forgetting the gender pronouns for robots. I'm sorry. Ree is now completely pacifist, which I'm really happy with. The war is apparently in a stalemate, with both sides unable to gain much ground. Turns out the Pacific Ocean is pretty good at discouraging equally matched countries from attacking each other. A few days later, while you're discussing business strategy with Josh in his 14th floor office, you get a call from Mark on your smartphone. The video is quite high resolution, and you can see the bags under his eyes and stubble with high fidelity. I wanted to get your comments for an article. Mark says, do you know Major Juliet Rogers? Yes, you respond. The Air Force technology recruiter. She died in an attack on the base in the Aleutians yesterday, Mark says. She was performing field tests on a robot called Miku 5 when the Chinese forces attacked. The American robots didn't stand a chance. Almost as if they were never designed for fighting. Oh wow. They weren't designed for fighting. They were conned. He's copied my robots, which are pacifist. And they weren't, because you designed them that way. This is Ziegler's copy of your robot Miku. A lot of people were calling for his head, but I remember our chat when you were in grad school. He wanted a robot that was better for the military, and you were the one who seemed to want something else. Do you have any comments? Let's see how we're gonna spin this. Wow. How many people were stationed at the base? Did they all die? About 5,000, Mark says. About half of them died, and another quarter is critically injured. You express your sincere regrets about the loss of life. And this is a quote that Mark uses in this article about Juliet's passing. When China finally attacks the 50 states themselves, their assault comes over the North Pole. A massive flotilla of icebreaker ships equipped with giant buzzsaws carves a straight path through what little ice remains in the Arctic Sea. Giant robot arms pick up and hurl the ice blocks out of the way. Small platoons of robots are left behind at every oil rig and deep mining station they claim along the way. The American bases in Alaska are overwhelmed by wave upon wave of Chinese robots. This kind of reminds me of Advanced War. I don't really know much about military tactics, apart from what I've learned from Legend of Galactic Heroes and Advanced Wars. But in Advanced Wars, you try and take as many resources as you can on the way, and I've just got this image of like troops coming out of buildings and taking them over like in Advanced Wars. When the headlines break, the dollar goes into a death spiral as people around the world are selling them for Chinese yuan. Canadian dollars are dropping in value as well as people speculate that China will invade Canada next, minus wealth. I'm going to hold on to my currency because I don't think it makes a difference. I'm more concerned about not dying at the moment. Wow, okay. You hold on to your American dollars. By the worldwide disdain for them, but the worldwide disdain for them continues and hyperinflation takes hold. Soon, it takes $1,000 to buy a loaf of bread. Oh my god! By the time the American aircraft carrier station in Hawaii reached the Aleutian Islands, Chinese ICBM batteries have already been assembled throughout the former state. The Chinese then offer peace, content with their conquest. Now that the war is over, what will you do? So the war is over, and my American dollars aren't really worth anything. So I'm broke now. I'm married to Tammy, which is good. Nationally famous. This is very interesting. So at the moment, China still has 59% of power, US 41%. Don't think that's the case anymore. Let's see. I have a feeling this option's going to end the story. Let's build a robot that knows how to love. Requires 20 empathy. That sounds like a nice thing to do. Oh, I don't know about this now. It's asking if the robot's going to be my companion. I thought I was married to Tammy. Well, let's go for it. Let's see. Flame, Key, Galati. None of these. I will name it for you. Let's name the robot. What will your companion bot's name be? Let's see. What's the first thing that can come to my head? It's Back to the Future poster. Can't believe you used your powers to make a sex robot. It's not a sex robot. It's a robot that can love people. I mean, can probably. I probably can do those things, but it's purely a robot. I mean, it's the only thing I could have done. It's that. It says love people, winky face. Yes, it can love people wholesomely. It's a wholesome love robot that can probably do sex if it wants to. Let's leave it at that. What will your companion bot's name be? Let's see. So this cup, it has the Ushmal dragon on it. I like to call it the Uxmal dragon. Let's call it Uxmal. It's a cup that my friends Rob and Tyler got me from Mexico. Uxmal. You're going to name it? Yes. That does sound kind of lame. Nice. I like that one. That's right. Okay. Are you looking to have a companion with who you could be romantic? No, I've got a wife. I have a wife. I'm not cheating on Tammy, even though she didn't appear when I was released from prison after being there for 6 months. It's tempting though. No, I'm gonna stay faithful to Tammy. But robot. This is conflicting. I don't know, guys. No. That'd be a boring option, though. Yes, yes, it's a wholesome robot, of course. Um, yes. Let's go for that one. Okay. You select Oxmal from among the many, or Ushmal, not Oxmal. I keep pronouncing that wrong. It's like how I pronounce Don Quixote, Don Quixio, on purpose. How quickly things. It's a wholesome robot. You select Ushmal from the many robots in your factory because she reminds you of yourself. You have Tammy for a romantic partner. What you really want is someone to whom you can talk freely about anything. You don't need it to be romantic. It doesn't occur to you now, it will later, that Ishmael may have some thoughts on the matter as well. Oh my days! Robot soap opera! Chapter 6b, Empathy. It is the year 2034. Oh, wow. So that means I'm 39 years old now. I had to do that quickly. Reality hits you hard, bro. So, 5 years after the war with China, robots that look like human beings have become the new hot technology, albeit one that is divisive. Some say that if the same technology had been put into robots in the front lines, America would have won the war against China. It's an accusation you've had to defend robots, universal robots against many times in the press. You don't mind too much, as they say. You don't mind too much, as they say. No such thing as bad press plus wealth. So I should be able to afford a loaf of bread now, because that costs $1,000 at the moment in this economy. Still, it's a little bit dangerous to go onto the streets when fans of the military right-wing video blogs seem to think your company is responsible for the loss of the Sino-American War. You sometimes get the feeling that Ushmao is in love with you, but you typically do not respond to her hints for fear of causing marital upset with Tammy. This is getting dark now. You live in San Francisco, a city of drastic inequalities brought on by the robot tech boom. It's where you need to be for work, but it isn't necessarily the best place for Ushma. You sold your old house, but what buys a spacious house elsewhere turns out to be a 2-bedroom condo in San Francisco. You're hanging balloons in your condo for a festive occasion, a tasting party. No robot you've made until now could taste food, but you've finished a prototype artificial tongue. It's not the most necessary thing in the world, but you think your robots ought to be able to enjoy food with others. Yeah, why not? There's something primordial, you think, about the ritual act of sitting down to eat with another person. To eat, but not taste, seems somehow like an impolite sham. No more! Your robots will taste. Which robot will try out the tasting sensor at the party? I create 2 prototypes, one for each of my robots. Wealth 1. You feel lucky that you managed to survive the aftermath of the war with your funds relatively intact. So at the moment, I'm 39 years old. I wonder how much of my hair I still have at this point in the story. Not that it matters. I look fantastic with shaved head. Miku, the more adventurous of the 2 robots, appears to have tried more tastes than Ushmao already. Like siblings, they seem to have settled into niches in competing for your attention. Ushmao now tries to be more human-like, while Miku occasionally flaunts rare freedom to be strange. So Miku doesn't have a gender. It has a robot gender. They have a robot gender, whereas Ushmao is female. Did you try dirt? Miku asks Ushmao. Wow. Ree walks behind the younger robot, who is still putting out plates. Dirt tastes very interesting. I don't think people are supposed to eat dirt, Ushmao says uncertainly. Sure they do, Miku says. It's called pica, and it helps people get essential vitamins and minerals. I read about it on the internet. Ushmao gives you a worried look. We're not going to eat dirt tonight, are we? I'm having a lot of fun doing these voices. What kinds of food will you serve to introduce the robots to a wide range of culinary delights? Simple, wholesome tastes. Wholesome. Fresh bread and fruit. Wine and cheese. I don't like cheese. No. Desserts. I think the robots will appreciate those the most. The weirdest stuff I can find. Yeah, heck yeah. Achievement unlocked. Gourmand. Is that gourmand or gourmand? I had to choose that one. Your robot's dependence on you for received opinions has always fascinated you. What would your robot's palates be like if you gave them the strangest things you could think of to start? You set the table with a jelly-like lutefisk, a Nordic dish of fish that has been stored in lye. Chinese Thousand Eye egg, which despite Thousand Eye? That's the Yu-Gi-Oh card, Thousand Eyes from Strike. 1,000-year-old egg, which despite the name has only been sitting in your backyard for months. And some pieces of fried butter on a stick you picked up from a street vendor. You even procured some dirt for Miku. Yes. To drink, you bring out some homemade kombucha. The fungus at the bottom of the tea bubbling in a sinister, impatient way. Yes, your robots have always been and will continue to be unique, plus autonomy. Kombucha is delicious. It's seaweed tea. It's really nice. It's not as good as green tea, which I'm drinking Longjing green tea from my Ushmao Dragon Cup today. It's a really big cup. It's like nearly the size. It's like 2/3 the size of my head. My food is ready. Oh, I'm doing Miku's voice. My food's ready too, Tammy says, wearing pot holders to take a glass bowl out of the fridge. What? It's cold. Tammy's never been a great cook compared to you, and she seems to have gotten most of her recipes out of some Midwestern disturbing food playbook. Tonight's section includes hamburger helper casserole, a salad made of marshmallows, as she calls ambrosia, and Coke Jello with nuts and fruit floating in it. Hey, this does sound awesome. I picked a winner in marrying Tammy, it seems. Because that's cool. It's like my idea of a Skittles salad. You put sour Skittles in salad. It is a delight. What a delight. Delicious. I could do a Skittles salad right now. You suppose enduring these will make your robots ready to politely eat anything Middle America throws at them, plus empathy. You can't help but feel Tammy is a little threatened by Ushmao. She's been acting weird lately, a little eager to jump between you and Ushmao, suggests some activity that involves her as well. Are they implying that Tammy is going to suggest a threesome? That could be narratively interesting, I guess. There's a shave and a haircut knock at the door. That must be AG. That's an Uncharted reference, because if you shoot someone in the head, he goes, a shave and a haircut. AG has managed to retain a youthful appearance into his late 30s. He's still wearing a red bow tie. An effect, Amy says, oh. It's like, oh. Yeah, it's getting weird, this story. I'm sorry. And yeah, this is getting interesting, this story. AG has managed to retain a youthful appearance into his late 30s. He's still wearing a red bow tie. Amy also says, clap emoji. Is a clap emoji like that, or AG, I've read that one a lot. But he manages, it'd be narratively interesting, I'll tell you that. With a smile, he raises his hand in a diffident greeting, and you can see ink all along the side near his pinky. He always draws freehand without the use of a tablet at the advertising agency. It's a skill that younger artists often don't have at all, but a look that older customers often want. Under one arm, AG is carrying a reusable bag of groceries from the local organic supermarket. I hope I'm not too late, AG says. I brought some veggies and kombucha. Way ahead of you on the kombucha, you say. Oh man, I want some kombucha. Owen says, Rob, you naughty lad. It's what was implied in the text. I'm just being an active participant audience. I'm just saying it's not. Amy says, lad. I'm just saying if Tammy's up for it and Ishmael's up for it, I'd be a villain to say no. Let's see. AG sets the groceries down. Very wholesome. Yeah, it's wholesome. It's keeping everyone happy. AG sets the groceries down on the kitchen counter. The groceries are from a chain that seemed to come along with AG. All I'm saying is I'm not going to suggest it, but if Tammy suggests it, why not? From Canada after the war. Solar Foods sells only the food that has been picked by solar-powered robots. This and a surprising newfound love of hockey are just the two of the reminders of AG's brief exodus from Canada. He seemed to really like the place. I'd love to go to Canada one day. AG gives a tight smile to Ushmal. How are you? AG then returns to unpacking groceries. Fine, Ushmal says. How are you? Good, AG says curtly. You think he dislikes Ushmal, but you're not sure why. Let's see. Let's encourage Ushmal and AG to talk to each other about pulling either aside. The good thing would be if I were to set AG up with Ushmal. Although, I don't know, earlier in the story, I think he was attracted to my main character, but he could be bisexual. Let's see. You never know. Pulling either AG or Ushmal aside would probably be somewhat obvious and make one or the other two feel excluded. You prefer to get them talking to each other. Can I offer you both some kombucha? You ask. Sure, thanks, AG says. Yes, please. Oh, yes, please. I don't know. Can't remember Ushmal's voice. Yes, please, Ushmal says. You pour them both a glass. While Ushmal doesn't have much to say, but an appreciative, it's good. AG points out the ways in which this particular kombucha is unique, as he happens to know the couple that makes it locally. When Ushmal asks about the details of how it's made, AG happily provides them. In the middle of this conversation, Ushmal casts an appreciative glance in your direction. She sees what you did there. Plus empathy. There's a knock at the door. A firm 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You open it, it's like, I guess. You open it and find Josh. He's still wearing a button-down shirt and khakis from work. His grudging nod to the fact that his old style doesn't look right on a guy with some grey hairs, and carrying a large wine bottle case with both hands. A different large bottle of beers sits in each cubbyhole. Noticing your interest, he says, I've got all kinds of stuff here. Belgians, Pilsners, an Imperial Stout, some barrel-aged stuff, a chocolate coffee porter. Seem to remember you like those? He grins, but it's mostly for the robots. Fair enough. Thanks, you say. This must have cost a lot. Just some things I had lying around, Josh says. Hey, AG. Hey, Josh. AG says, long time no see. You're looking good. AG says that because, come to think of it, Josh is not looking good. He looks tired. He gratefully accepts the compliment. Thanks, you're looking good yourself. I bet you still get carded. I do, AG admits, pleased. Wow. Living the dream. Thank you for bringing all of this, Ushmal says. Wow, what is all of this? Miku says, picking up her beer bottles one by one. You can put anything in beer when you're brewing it, as the last 5%, of the mix or so, and get a different taste. Josh explains to the robots. So I thought this would be a good way to show you all the different kinds, all kinds of different tastes in the same context. Compare and contrast, like they used to say back in school. You now recall you had a tough time deciding whether alcohol should decrease inhibitions when the robots tasted it. What do you decide? I only gave the robots the ability to feel buzzed, not get drunk. I wouldn't want them getting drunk. It'd be would take away the fun of drinking, I think. Although, no, my robots have iron livers. That could be jokes, actually. Let's give them iron livers. The livers aren't literal iron. That's a robot joke there, I love it. But they do have filters designed to break down all of the food they consume rapidly so that the robot can use the same facilities as humans for getting rid of their waste product. Wait a second. So are they saying the robots can like poo and stuff? It's getting weird. I don't really like the place this is going to. Any alcohol sensing and system, not to mention the balancing of the algorithm for changing their mental states, would simply have been extra work. I think that's more the breaking down the enzymes and stuff. And you didn't really see the point. The robots eagerly try a little of each beer, then a lot of each beer, but it has no effect. Perhaps it's just as well. This is a tasting party, not a frat party. The night continues with robots trying one strange dish after another, and sampling all of the questionable delicacies in turn. The robots linger especially on a plate of loot bisque, calling out the various subtle notes of the taste as they are discovered. AG seems to enjoy the evening, has a conversation with the robots about how the chemistry of cooking That puts your long-forgotten knowledge of organic chemistry to the test. Josh proves full of stories about exotic foods he himself has tried over the years, from fancy restaurants, mushroom-flavored push pops, exotic terrines, and French consomme attract his particular praise. Ushmao is smiling more than you've ever seen since you created her, happy to be partaking of this human ritual. Owen says, "Classic, Josh." Nice, I love it. This is good because I do have a real friend called Josh. I love it. And let's see. Ushmao is smiling. Yeah, we got that part. Miku's comments about the food are a bit odd, focusing on the individual elements of chemical composition, like Ree's reading the back of a box for ingredients. He tried to explain how each ingredient contributes to the taste, and the individual elements just don't seem to be coalescing into a meaningful whole for Miku. You then realize that, until this point, memorized ingredient lists and recipes from the internet were all Ree had to go on to infer what foods must taste like, and you suppose it's those individual elements that Miku now finds so interesting. Tammy, meanwhile, doesn't eat so much at all during the whole affair, but keeps nibbling some fried butter on a stick the whole time. You've noticed she doesn't like to eat much when she's nervous, which happens a fair amount. "Hey Robert," Josh says, "I've been thinking about getting a companion robot for myself." Oh wow, what do you think of this? You glance at Robot, that's Freudian slip there. You glance at Eiji across the room. He's telling Ushmao about the virtues of local food. "That depends," you say. "What do you want one for?" "I've just come to realize," Josh sighs, "I've just come to realize I don't have the time for a real relationship in my line of work. I secretly want someone there who's going to make me dinner and clean and ask me how my day was. That kind of absurd 50s housewife." "What? Why can't you just do it yourself, mate?" "What?" "But I'd feel bad asking a real woman to do that for me, especially since I know I'd be busy all the time in return. So maybe a robot is just what I want." Josh looks worried for a moment. The robots really are designed to enjoy that kind of lifestyle, right? That's what you've been saying in the ads. So, man, this sounds like it. This is quite bad. I don't like where this is going. Yes, it's designed to generally enjoy serving others, you say. I don't think the public would stand for anything else. I wouldn't design a robot to enjoy doing chores and stuff. I probably wouldn't make much money. Good. To his credit, Josh looks relieved. "But would you?" Oh, I know what he's going to say. Oh no, he's not going to say. You're not sure how to delicately phrase your next question. From Josh's immediate blush, you think you know the answer anyway. You switch tactics. "Never mind," you say. "How sure are you that you want this cooking and cleaning sort of person rather than someone independent?" "Ah, good point." "Not very," Josh says. "Maybe a housewife robot would be..." Amy says, "Classic, Josh." Josh is getting really demonized today thanks to this guy. Not very. Maybe a housewife robot would be bad for me. I don't know. What would I want? I tell Josh that he shouldn't sell himself short. He'd make a real person very happy. Josh, you shouldn't try and fall in love with a robot because you'd think you'd make a flesh and blood person unhappy. You say, "You're actually fairly sweet when you're not being frustratingly pragmatic." "Really?" Josh says. "And anyway, you'd feel bad about making your robot unhappy too." You cast a glance at Ushmao, who has a look of joy on her face as she bites into some fried butter on a stick. "You're probably right," Josh says. He smiles. "Thanks, I'll try to find a real flesh and blood person to go dancing with." "And you may want to keep the housewife dream to yourself," you say. "Hire a cook and a cleaning service. You'll both enjoy it." Fair point. Soon enough, the food is all gone. You're left discussing the evening with the robots. "What did you think?" you ask. "It's wonderful," Ushmao exclaims. She continues to nibble on some fried butter on a stick, apparently trying to make it last as long as possible. "I think I understand so much more about emotions now. I know what it is to be sweet like fried chocolate, or bitter like lutefisk." I'm not entirely sure you've got it, AD says uncertainly. But still, it's very much like emotion, Ushmal says. It's difficult to describe and powerful and moves in a way largely unsymbolic. I think I've never had such a primal experience before. Good! Tammy blurts. You give her an unquestioning glance. Are you really so threatened by this robot? She shrinks from your gaze. I want to learn how to cook, Ushmal says, clearly inspired. Well, this isn't sounding good. Tammy's starting to get really jealous. Of course, you say. You hadn't expected this to be a natural turn of events from tonight, but you suppose it's only a natural extension of Ushmal's built-in desire to be helpful. The evening continues pleasantly, with you, Eiji and Josh and Tammy, chatting with Ushmal and Miku about the subtleties of taste over glasses of kombucha into the small hours. Very wholesome, they're drinking tea into the small hours instead of alcohol. Since I've stopped drinking, actually, I've just I enjoy having tea at a party, and there's nothing better than drinking tea into the late hours of the night with your friends. It's wholesome times. On Friday, you go to the local swing club with Ushmal. You wait and I hope I'm there with Tammy. Behind some women wearing snazzy polka dot skirts and men wearing vests and newsy hats, along with younger folks, college age maybe, who are probably here for the first time, judging from the guys' t-shirts, too shabby, and the women's high heels, too impractical. About half of the snappy dresses are robots. You can tell because of the way they stand, a little too straight, but someone who didn't design the balance algorithms probably wouldn't notice. You didn't think any of the really young people are robots. It would be surprising, you think, for somebody to spend all their money on a robot and not pay to dress it well. Did you bring Tammy with you? Yes, Tammy's my date. I can tell this isn't going to end well. And this is a terrible idea. Tammy, for some reason, went a little goth this evening. Cool. Perhaps her understanding of what the 1930s were like is confused with the 1860s, but her black, lacy dress does look quite fetching. Faye, even. You pay admission for both you and Tammy. Robots are cheaper than humans, you notice, and enter the dance floor. Cool. Which they've covered and decorated with fake portholes and life preservers, along with a large banner that says Happy 100th Anniversary. Anything goes! The lights are all up currently, as two robots in the center of the hall have just started a swing dancing competition. Slow, slow, quick, quick, says the male robot of the pair, demonstrating. Robots and humans in a circle around the instructor try to mirror the steps with varying degrees of success. I'm not entirely certain why you brought me here, Ushmal whispers, or why everyone is moving like this. Surely you've looked up swing dancing in your knowledge base before coming, you murmur. Yes, but its explanations of why are all circular, Ushmal says. Why do people like to dance? Okay, these are not good options if you want to avoid cheating on the robot. So I'm just going to say, because it's a way of expressing joy and being alive, I'm not going to cheat on the robot. Cheat on Tammy, I mean, with the robot. But why do people not move joyfully all the time, Ushmal asks. I suppose they could, you admit. You notice Mark the reporter in the corner of the dance floor typing away. He's now a little balding and sporting a beard that reminds you of Toby Ziegler from the old show your parents used to watch, The West Wing. I'd never heard of him or The West Wing. Hey, let's check it out. Toby Ziegler. Can I copy that? That's my comics. Toby Ziegler, what's he look like? There we go. He looks a bit like... to be honest, he looks a bit like my stepdad. Which is cool. Oh, there he is. I'm covering. There we go. A little bit. How's it going, Robert? Well, you say. What's the story you're currently writing about? Robot romance, he says. What do you think about all the robot couples? Tammy leans in to attend to your answer. Ooh. I think you should join us, rotate partners, and find out what it's like yourself. Mark nods. Fair point. I'm embarrassed to not have thought of it myself. He goes to the lobby to pay his admission. Over the course of the dance lesson, you end up being instructed to rotate partners a fair amount, dancing with robots and humans. The flesh and blood dancers are a mixed bag. You get the impression some of them have never danced before in their lives, while others seem practiced and must come every week. You yourself danced plenty back at MIT. I guess I'm a dancer now in this game. But that was almost 20 years ago, and you become the refresher. And you welcome the refresher. Though most of the dancers must be in their 20s, they seem like babies to you. You find it hard to believe that you were their age when you learned. You certainly didn't feel young then. Are you learning the leader's part or the follower's part? Men traditionally dance the leader's part, but this has become fluid over the years. I'll do the follower's part. Why not? Let's make this a bit more open-minded. And plus, I can't dance, so I prefer the follower's part. The robots who you dance with tend to be male. They are passable at dancing, not hugely creative, but they have a firm lead, which is more than you can say of most of the human leaders. Above all, they are polite and differential, and you feel more comfortable following them than many of the human men. As for the robots' grace, you find that they are a pleasure to behold. All their spins and turns seem absolutely lovely when they work up the courage to do them. Over the course of the lesson, you relearn the basic step: how to do underarm and overarm turns, how to spin out, and a complicated move called Sweetheart, in which you end up with your partner's arms around you, also known as the Habibi in countries that speak Arabic, I assume, because that's Arabic for sweetheart. At the end of the lesson, you return to Tammy for the dance proper. That was stressful, Tammy says, agitated. How am I supposed to know what the right move is? Just do what you feel like, you say. But Tammy seems to find this unsatisfying. The lights in the hall dim, and you get to the business of dancing with Tammy in earnest. Tammy is not a terribly great leader after only one lesson, and you find it difficult to figure out your partner's signal. Just then, you notice Ushmael approaching. Uh-oh. I think your robot has found us. Robert, may I have this next dance? Ushmael asks. Tammy frowns your directions. Uh-oh. I suggest Ushmael dance with someone else. Yeah, I'm going to keep the wife happy. I don't like the fact Tammy's getting upset. Even though she's not real. I'm empathizing with this game a bit too much. Well, I hate to disappoint you, you say to Ushmael. Maybe you could dance with someone else here. There are lots of people looking for partners. Ushmael seems a little disappointed, but she nods. Alright, thank you for letting me stay. She goes in search of a dance partner and quickly finds you. Ushmael seems really enamored with you, Tammy says. Should I be worried? No, you say, because there's nothing else you can say. But you're a little worried about her yourself. For a long time, the two of you just dance. There's a lot of Cole Porter tonight, night and day, and love the sale. It must be because of the Anything Goes anniversary. I don't know Cole Porter. Night and day. I'm not sure. I would play them, but I know Twitch's copyright is going to take all the sound of this video and kill my fun, so I'm not going to play them. Have you thought about whether you're ready to have kids? Tammy asks. I'm sort of running out of time. It wasn't so long ago that I would be too old to have children safely. Even now it's pushing it. I don't think she's going to like that one. I'm not sure. She likes robots, but I think she's a bit sick of robots now, Ushmael. Why not? Let's see what happens. Tammy grins and throws her arms around you, interrupting the dance. Oh, I'm so excited. Thank you. I don't know the song, and although I'm not a great romancer, I know you're bound to answer when I propose. Anything goes. I think that's how the song goes, I assume. The lights go up, the dancers clap, and you realise that was the last song of the night. You head home with Tammy and Ushmael, chatting about your future children with Tammy, while Ushmael sullenly says little. Now Ushmael's upset. You spend the next few months having more and more adventures with Tammy and spending your nights trying to have a child. Nice. Tammy seems very happy. Ushmael, meanwhile, seems content to stay home and mind your household, cheerfully doing the chores that need doing, wishing you bon voyage, and you leave. When you leave, and happy to see you return. It's well into the evening, and Ushmael is holding aside a curtain to look out the window at the brief lights of the city. You know what I've never done, Ushmael says? Stargazing. I've been out in the evening so little, and the few times I did go out, I didn't think to look up. She drops the curtain and looks back at you. Would you go with me to the park? It's technically closed after sundown, but people online say nobody checks. It occurs to you that Tammy might not be entirely comfortable with the way Ishmael is looking at you right now. That adoration coming from someone who looks not only human, but beautiful. You can see how stargazing alone with Ishmael may cause jealousy. It's Thursday too, which is usually a night you and Tammy go out. Oh, that's good. When I was working, I loved hanging out with people on Thursday, and yeah, Thursday is a good night to do stuff like dates and to hang out with friends. That's a good idea. Nah, go with Miku. I'm not gonna let any trouble through. Maybe I'm being boring, but I'm true to my word. Miku, you call to the robot's room. Miku peeks for a human-like head around the corner. Could you escort Ishmael to the park? She wants to go stargazing. Of course, master, Miku says, excited for the chance to prove for himself. But Ishmael looks back at you. You two should go, you say. I want to stay here and get some work done on motor control algorithms for surgeon bots. Yes, Robert, Ishmael says, disappointed. She then looks puzzled. Where's Tammy tonight? Uh-oh. She just said she'd be home late, you say. Ah. Ishmael still looks more disappointed that she isn't even being passed over for Tammy. I personally like running an app for sharpening images while I'm looking at I personally like running an app for sharpening images while I'm looking at the night sky. That's cheating, Miku is telling Ishmael, who's still looking over her shoulder at you. There's not a lot of light, and you can see more that way. May as well take advantage of the difference between us and humans, right? Ooh, sorry. Right, Ishmael says. The two of them leave. You think it's probably good that robots are starting to are learning to rely on each other instead of you. Friendships between equals are just as important in life as romance. Plus empathy. I agree. Later that night, the two robots come back very damaged. Oh wow. There is severe damage to the joints in Miku's humanoid hands. And with plastic tendons snapped in places, Ishmael has a large chunk of her skull bastion, exposing chips underneath that occasionally spot. Wow, this is deep. How much wealth do I have left? It looks like it's gonna getting by. Return to game. Wow. But Miku's humanoid hands are also in fairly bad shape. So I can't afford to fix Ishmael. And she needs repairs to our artificial prefrontal cortex, whereas long-term planning and impulse control happens. Oh no. So I can't actually... Is it fair for me to choose one to repair? Because I don't have enough wealth? Or should I say... Maybe I can't afford to repair them at all. I think it'd be unfair to choose one. It sounds like I should probably repair Ishmael because that affects her long-term planning and impulse control. And considering what's been going on in the story, I think impulse control would be very useful for Ishmael. Oh, you just don't have the money lying around to do further repairs, you're afraid, and you tell the robots so. Over the next few days, Ishmael seems to get angry more often, slamming doors and breaking glasses, flipping neck. But you can't tell whether the anger is justified anger at the world or a condition resulting from her damage. Maybe both. You find a somewhat inexpensive solution for Miku using threads from the local craft shop. This is really upsetting now. Removes her humanoid hands a little more haltingly than before, and gingerly so, not to break the thread. Minus grace, but it's better than nothing. A new year rolls around, and with it new decisions for Robert's Universal Robots. Will you change the company bot product line? I think companion robots are going to cause a bit more trouble than I at first thought. I mean, considering that they can get angry, and also considering that people are going to attack them, I don't think it would be a particularly nice. I don't know. Think that I'm going to go with my gut. You're not sure on the whole that companion robots were a good idea after all. Robots might be best if they're clearly very different from humans instead of a way for people to indulge their unrealistic expectations of others. This really made me think about the ethics of robots. Robots Universal Robots changes its focus to more practical, industry-oriented robots. You find it astounding when you think back on it, how quickly humanoid robots went from being a thing of the future to the new cool thing to an anachronism. But a lot can happen in a lifetime. Chapter 7, The Ways to Say Goodbye. I think we're getting to the final chapter of the game now. I'd like to come back to this game in the future and make some new choices. Because I feel I could have done some far more exciting things. But I grew a bit too attached. Well, I grew attached to the characters. I like the characters, and this is interesting. I feel a big connection with the game. Maybe because I've been reading it on stream. But I feel like I'm making a lot of effort in this playthrough to make the choices that I would actually make. 15 years later, you find yourself in Surprise, Arizona, walking to your mother's house. A few of the cacti in front have Santa hats on them. Owen says, it's always fun to play through first as yourself. Second time as an evil bastard, lol. Yeah, I'd definitely love to do the evil bastard playthrough. Although when I play Fallout games, I just do whatever I feel like at the time, which can be quite bad. I just play Fallout to just have a laugh, really, which is really bad, I guess. Let's give her a robot cat. Why not? You bought a gift for... Oh, oops. I don't have any friends on Steam. It's because it's a new Steam account. I had another Steam account that I forgot the login for, so I just made a new one for streaming purposes. You powered the cat down after it started making a fuss in the car, but now that it's back on, making confused mewing sounds from its carrier. Like the rest of your robots, it doesn't like to be alone. You knock on Mum's front door. Coming! You hear a call from inside. When Mum answers the door, you see her left eye is synthetic, though it is intended to use to look as human-like as possible. Wow, this is weird. It looks dry and its movements are just not quite as fast as those of a human eye. She had been going blind in that eye and had opted for it to be replaced shortly after her tumour was taken. Oh my god! Oh, this isn't nice. The hair near the site of the organic surgery is a little dry and thin, and it's all grey. Your mother is very old. Oh, it's weird. She smiles when she sees you and gives you a hug, which you return. Come in, come in. Inside, you find your mother's cleaning robots still busily puttering about the house, cleaning up. They look like cute little cats and mice designed to move as if one is prowling after the other, when in fact the mouse is proactively stealing away the larger crumbs before the cat vacuums. They were AG's original design. He's now working as product designer for a robot company in Canada. We hope he's doing well. How old am I now? I'm 54 years old. Photos of your wedding day with Tammy are framed on the wall of the living room. Following your gaze, Mum says, "Can you believe how long it's been?" Years go by quickly. You agree. But you're still in love as the day you got married, right? More, you say. You should have brought Tammy down. Next time, you promise. Did you have a child? Yes. Let's flip a coin. Heads, it's a boy. Tails, it's a girl. It's heads. It's a boy. What is his name? So Robert, Tammy, let's combine those names. Tablet. Near the wedding photos of you and Tammy are photos of Tablet in the hospital shortly after being born. Then more as Tablet turned 1, 2, 4, and 6. Tablet, what a name. How's little Tablet doing now? Mum asks. You're still sending him to traditional school rather than internet learning. A little bit of both, you say. I can't give up the idea that it's good to have a child learn to interact with other children face to face, but I think Tablet does learn a lot more from the internet. We're doing one of those part-time schooling things, light on the hours. Miku loves to teach too. We've done a lot of that. It occurs to you, looking through all of the stuff with Mum, that the whole time you were concerned about the future of your creation, Miku, Mum was excited for you in the same way. You were her creation, miraculously walking about the earth, so full of intelligence, accomplishing great things. Okay. I have something for you too, Mum says. She goes into her closet and fetches a brand new Mini-Me robot kit. It's a robot construction kit composed of little arms and wheels that plugs into a smartphone. You examine it skeptically, convinced Mum would have got you something on sale that only worked with smartphones from 20 years ago, but it looks new. It's not really for you, it's for Tabit, Mum says. I don't know whether he likes robots, but if he's anything like you or his father, or you or your father, he will. Thanks, you say. But that's Bill Rostan in the story, by the way. He died in the last video. Thanks, you say, because the implicit message there is, you turned out pretty well. Not you that you'd expect anything less from Mum. I think he'll appreciate it. Anyway, I've got to fly back now, he said. Happy holidays, Mum. I think this is like the epilogue. You hug your mother, present the robot cat. She loves it, but you think she wouldn't let you know if she didn't, and say your goodbyes. Later that day, you set out for home. Your car navigates the twists and turns of your mother's old neighborhood by itself as it heads for the local airfield. You recall in your youth that you had some notion you might make cars intelligent enough to hold a conversation. Now you're a little sad that you never got round to it, though the technology does exist. You find the inferior AIs installed by car manufacturers irritating, and bought a car without the feature. You pull out a tablet and begin to read the newspaper as your car does its work silently and efficiently. The top headlines these days are all about China, engaging in skirmishes in the Pacific and Indian Oceans, flouting the ineffectual mandates of the United Nations, building factories overseas. It's nothing serious, merely a new superpower flexing its muscles. You suppose this is what it must have been like to grow up somewhere that wasn't the United States, though you suppose you'll never know. You feel the lurch of acceleration. You know that without looking up, that you are airborne. These cars can fly, can't you? Where did you, Ushmal, Miku, decide to spend the rest of your days? Man. Oh, this sounds awesome. We decided to move to the small town of Hope in Canada. You live in the town of Hope, a small lakeside town in British Columbia, where A.G. fled during the war. Hope is a quiet town surrounded by evergreen trees, and you and A.G. sometimes like to picnic along the Fraser River. It is not quite so far from the memory of war as either of you would have liked. Years after moving here, you discovered that nearby Sunshine Valley was once an internment camp for Japanese Canadians. Oh my god. Sometimes you hike there with A.G. and Miku and leave flowers. That's a nice thing to do. It's dark out. Let's see stats by then. My humanity has increased again, 54. It's dark out by the time you make it home. Winter always catches you by surprise that way. This kind of seems like a Kurt Vonnegut prologue, but it's an epilogue. It's interesting. I guess the prologue for Slaughterhouse 5 is kind of an epilogue for Kurt Vonnegut after the war, which is interesting. It's an interesting way of looking at it. Welcome home. You hear Tammy call from the dining room. You enter to find Tammy has laid out a sumptuous feast for you on the dining room table. Lit candelabra, wine glasses, and some kind of bird that looks like it's real instead of 3D printed meat. Several kinds of buttered veggies on the side. The works. So you could have 3D printed meat now. This is weird. Tammy sets down a candle, rushes to you, and kisses you deeply. Thanksgiving came early, apparently, you say. This looks great. You know I get so anxious without you, Tammy says. Cooking is my release. You have mixed feelings about the way Tammy needs you and dotes with you, but you can't turn down a good meal. Let's eat. The two of you sit down to eat, and you tell the story of your visit to your mother's house. She's actually looking quite good for a woman who just had surgery, but walking around her place made me realise how old I'm getting. Ishmael glides by carrying a tray of little bacon-wrapped dates. For you, master. Thank you. You take one and the robot returns to the kitchen to make more amuse-bouches. That never gets old, you think. You take a moment to glance through the pile of 3D printer mail waiting for you on your desk. You find a Christmas card signed by all the employees of Robert's Universal Robots. Sweet of them to think of you. You're pretty popular, Tammy says with a grin. I try, you say. There's also some mail for you, Tammy says. Really? Tammy leaves briefly and returns with a bottle of Alaskan wine, a 2014 Cabernet Sauvignon, and a card. Josh wishes you the best this holiday season. He wanted to let you know that he started a charitable foundation for kids coming out of juvenile hall and trying to figure out what to do with their lives. That sounds like a good charity. It's nice. Finally got my wish to change the world in a way I was unequivocally proud of. And I have you to thank for it, in part. Merry Christmas, Josh. That's sweet, Tammy says. Where's Talbot, you ask? Probably outside, probably upstairs being reclusive, Tammy says. Wonder where he gets that from. A smile plays at Tammy's lips. Well, that does give me a chance to hide his present, you say. What did you get Talbot for his 8th birthday? His 8th birthday? A robot kit, paints and an easel, and internet-enabled contact lens. Paints and an easel sounds nice. You tried to encourage Talbot to be creative in ways that are different from you. You stashed the paints and easels in a closet. Next to it, you put the mini-me kit from Mum. You hope he appreciates it. He's probably at the age where he takes Mum's gifts and Mum for granted. But you don't, not anymore. I'm going to say hello to Miku, you tell Tammy. Tammy waves you away. Of course. You peek into Miku's room. Ree's busy trying to construct what looks like a small version of himself. So intent is Miku that you say, Hi Miku. Ree practically jumps. Master, you've returned, Miku says, and Ree greets you with a hug. You're creating? A child? You ask tentatively. Miku nods. I observed what you do with Talbot, Ree says, and I came to the conclusion that to really understand the world, one must try explaining it to another. I'm not sure I understand it better, you say, but I think it does force me to think about it. Maybe that's the path to understanding. I'm so proud of Miku. Ree is doing really well. Indeed, Miku says, as if this is obviously where the logical conclusion of what Ree was saying. It takes a moment to realize something's not right. It's like the opposite of a headache. Your head feels too light. You can't see very well. You're not sure when you stop seeing when you stop seeing very well, but when you think about it, you realize you can't really see Miku in front of you. There's a roaring in your ears like static. Was I a robot all this time, you think absently? Maybe that explains everything. What the heck? No, I clearly wasn't a robot. Master? Miku says, what's wrong? You look pale. You realize that now you can't see anything. You can only hear Miku's voice. Have I gone blind? This is what it's like to not see, you think. It's not black. It's not anything. Help, you say faintly. You're sitting on a cliff next to the sea. Ishmael is sitting next to you, as she was when you first met in a dream many years ago. I told you it would take a lot out of you, Ishmael says. I hope this is what you wanted. What? What? What's going on? I don't know. I'm just happy to be your friend. Ishmael looks hurt but manages a grin. Thanks. You sit in what you hope is companionable silence. I don't know what's going on. But then you notice motion out of the corner of your eye. Ishmael is so subtly leaning over the cliff toward the water. Wait! Oh my god! You cry and grab for Ishmael's wrist just as she tumbles over the edge. Her weight yanks you over and you find yourself tumbling into the water. What? What the? You awaken in a hospital room. A small garden at the windowsill, probably tended by the robot nurses, lends to a floral scent to the room. The paintings on the wall are Thomas Kincaid-like lighthouses and pastoral scenes. No doubt calculated to have the most positive effect on the average passenger's feelings. Welcome back, says Tammy, who squeezes your hand. She looks tired, but she can't believe she can't have been here long. She's still wearing her overcoat. Master, you're awake! Miku walks up to your side. I was so worried. Good morning, Dr. Rostand. Your doctor reminds you of Ella Fitzgerald. You can hear her smile in her voice. Only her eyes, which are made of glass and don't saccade quite fast enough, give away that she's not human. Why don't you tell me what happened? I have some guesses from your scans, but I want to hear it from you. You tell the doctors briefly about how you passed out back at your condo. Tammy looks alarmed to hear you describe the process. Ah, okay, so that was a dream, I think. What? So that didn't actually happen, that was a dream sequence. Why don't you tell me what happened? Okay. You tell the doctor briefly about how you passed out back at your condo. Tammy looks alarmed to hear you describe the process. I wanted to help, but I wasn't sure what the problem was, Mika tells the doctor. You hesitate because you can still recall your dream, but it seems very personal and not necessarily relevant. I had a dream, a familiar one. You shake your head. Then I woke up here. Well, I don't mean to alarm you, but you've had a stroke. What? Just when you think that the game's going to go in one direction, it goes in completely the opposite one. Tammy looks at you in alarm. She squeezes your hand, but it's more like she's asking you to be reassured. A stroke, you say in disbelief. But I'm not that old. I'm hardly past 50. I'm afraid the news gets worse, the doctor carries. It says, you carry a newly identified disorder called Algernon's disease. Oh, that's a reference for flowers for Algernon. You have too many of the genes that promote neural branching out and glucose consumption, which at a certain point becomes harmful. Harmful how? That just seems to be a recipe for increased intelligence. It is, the doctor says. There have only been a handful of other cases and they all become wealthy entrepreneurs and inventors. This is sounding kind of bullshit now. But let's carry on. One of who funded the research that led to our understanding of the disease. But starting from the age of 50 or so, or occasionally earlier if you're under a great deal of stress, Algernon's victims get seizures or strokes, often accompanied by hallucinatory visions under a great deal of stress. Could your first dream of the robot companion have been one of those episodes? You had stayed up all night, so you had assumed that you'd simply passed out from exhaustion. What if it were one of these episodes? But was there anything I could have done? Is there anything I can do now? There was nothing you did wrong, the doctor says gently. I know it must have seemed as if it's your fault somehow, but nobody gets to keep on living forever just because they've made the right choices. Everybody dies of something. I just wish it didn't have to come so soon. This is getting really upsetting now. It's deep. Well, it's not really upsetting, but it's interesting. The doctor nods. Well, it may not have to. I've looked at your scans. Surgery is an option. We can either try to exercise the neurons that are acting up without replacement, or try to replace them with artificial neural network. So I'd be part AI, you say speculatively. That sounds interesting. Tammy frowns a little at this. Yay, Miku says. This is deep. You should be aware that most patients report a side effect of loss of emotional effect. This doesn't sound good. The pattern recognition of the damaged tissue would be there, but without the full state of neurotransmitters, some of the emotional transmitters running around your brain would find their lines cut. I wouldn't want to lose that. So the doctor looks very serious for a moment. Also, I don't want to downplay the very real chance that you could die in surgery. A slip of the needle could trigger a final epileptic response and death. Of course, it's all done with robots these days. You may or may not find that reassuring. You do find that reassuring, actually. You've spent a fair amount of your life perfecting robot control algorithms, though you've never been asked to bet your life on them before. So I wouldn't want to risk losing my emotions in some way. The doctor shrugs. You could have 6 months or 6 years. And if I don't have surgery at all, yeah, that's good. Let's see. I'm not gonna become a robot. I'm gonna just leave it as it is. I don't want to risk losing. I wouldn't want to risk losing my emotions, or becoming a less empathetic person. Owen says, low at the last option, so jokes. I will create a robot body and brain for myself. I'm not attached to this squishy meat. I wouldn't go with that. I like having a human body. It's wicked. Amy says, May, this is deep. I know. I'm like, wow. I'm gonna go with the first option. You announced your decision to not undergo surgery, and the robot doctor nods. That is perfectly respectable. Oh, now, Tammy looks stricken at the idea. How can you just let yourself die? Callum, also horticulturist, welcome aboard, Callum, says, where's the Pickle Rick body option? Yeah, exactly. Why can't I become Pickle Rick? I don't understand. I'm just weighing the risks of each option, you say. Maybe I got years to go with this Algernon's disease. I'll probably see the end coming this way at least. Who wants to die on the operating table? I don't understand, Miku says, completely distraught. Your decision is incomprehensible. Why don't you trust the robot surgeons? But you can't explain without hurting Miku's feelings. I didn't really want to do that. I wanted to just say I wanted to keep my emotions, but very well, says the doctor. I will not schedule any surgery for you. Good day. That's very abrupt. Wait, you say, before I go, you said this was a genetic disease, so my child Talbot may have it? It's very likely, the doctor says. The gene is dominant. What are my options if Talbot has the gene? He's 8. Gene therapy is an option for an 8-year-old with disorder. The gene could get phosphorated before it has a chance to fully express itself. It would mean your child also would not have the benefit of your intelligence. He would be bright, but not you, the doctor frowns. It's an important position for a parent to be in, I know. But if you would like to schedule a gene therapy slot for the same day as your child's screening, it could actually be done in one day. Tammy looks to be at a loss. She shakes her head. I want the best for Talbot, but I can't imagine you without your brilliance. I don't know. What do you think? Wow. This is a really tough option. Screen Talbot, but if this disorder is why I achieved as much as I did on the same opportunity. This is really deep. Can't wish this disappointment. If you find the gene, I think we should begin with it. I think it's a bit out of order to not tell him about the disorder. But this is the kind of thing where you either do it or you don't do it. I guess I'll screen him and then I can make the choice after. Tammy's eyes widen with grief, but she nods. So do I. The doctor nods. Many parents choose the same thing. Very well, we'll schedule a screening, but no gene therapy. So that way we can let him know when he's old enough. He's not even real. I'm putting some serious thought into this. Leave the hospital in a somber mood. So that must be what happened to Bill Rustant, Mum says on the phone that night, after you've explained Algernon's disease. She looks wistful in the video feed. I thought that might be the case, you say. He said he had a stroke, but he didn't have any episodes before the last one? Oh yes, your mother says. He fainted several times, but he wanted to hide it from you. He said he didn't want to worry you, but I think he just didn't like showing weakness. He begged me not to tell you. I don't understand your generations, sometimes, you say. I could have done genetic testing long ago if I'd known. We didn't understand it either, honey. You're used to living in a world where everything is under control makes sense, but medicine just still isn't there. Old age is full of things coming out of the blue to get you. There's the old saying, old age isn't a battle, it's a massacre. She smiles. Oh, do you even understand how much you've done personally to change that, sweetie? It was your medical technology that saved me. Well, I'm trying to do something a little different now, Mum. Of course you are, she says with a smile. I look forward to seeing what you come up with. You know, somehow, talking to you convinces me everything's going to be alright, you say. Mum laughs. That's not what I'm saying at all, honey. But it's like the Serenity Prayer says. Oh wow, okay. The Serenity Prayer is in one of my favorite books, Slaughterhouse 5. And it's a really nice, I mean, I'm not religious myself, but I really like it because it is a really nice way of living, I guess. It says, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to tell me the difference. I love that. Slaughterhouse 5 is a book I could say a lot about, but it's a book, I'm not going to tell you what the book's about, but it's about being in a hopeless situation, but still carrying on, and I really like that about the book. It's great. I think I can change a lot, you say. I know you can, sweetie. I know you can. When you go off the phone with Mum, Ushmal finds you. From her look, you can tell she has heard about the condition. Let's go take a walk, you say, and she nods earnestly. It's evening, and I'm not going to cheat on my wife with a robot. No. It seems like this is going to happen. It's evening, and as you walk down the streets of Hope, You see a few other human couples holding hands. Ishmael is the only robot companion you see. She's vintage, a sign of a previous decade, a walking 8-track tape. It must be lonely, you reflect. You are walking apart from each other, and you two don't usually hold hands. I keep my hands in my pockets. I'm happily married, Ishmael. You keep your hands in your pockets. The others you see on the streets are romantic with their companion bots. You wouldn't want Ishmael to get the wrong idea. Don't know what I'm going to do when you're gone, Ishmael says. Seeing your look, Ishmael adds, of course I'm going to miss you. That goes without saying. But ever since hearing the news, I've been worried sick, not just about you, but about myself. And when they wouldn't admit me to hospital, that just drove home the point. They wouldn't admit you, you say? That's absurd. They admitted Miku. The laws are different for a companion robot, Ishmael says. Miku is your personal property, grandfathered from a time before companion robots existed. I'm different, not quite human, not quite a thing. Ishmael gives you a tormented look. What's going to happen to me? You're not always going to be here. Why don't you start a restaurant? You've always been interested in food. Oh my. It's pretty jokes. Pretty jokes thing to say. It's pretty callous. I want you to take care of Tammy when I'm gone. That's nice. Ishmael seems to consider this for a moment, then shakes her head. No, I don't think I can do that. I want to learn how to live for myself. Ishmael gives you a funny look. Besides, what makes you think Tammy needs or wants my help? Oh, fair point. Sorry. You shrug. You're probably right, you say. What will you do? Ishmael grins. Anything I want. And with that, Ishmael takes off a sprint. Hey, wait, you shout, trying to catch up. You're over 50 and quickly wheezing. Please come back. But it's no use. This was Ishmael's final test of whether you truly understood her. And you failed it. She is gone. I think this is for the best, actually, because she wasn't happy in that situation. Tammy wasn't happy with her being there, and my character was constantly conflicted with the choice of doing something that he probably shouldn't have done. That night, after the lights are out and you and Tammy it's getting really dramatic, are in bed, you are wondering if Tammy is still awake because her back is turned to you, and if she would want to talk to you if she is awake. Tammy says quietly, Robert, I'm awake, you say. I love you, Tammy says. Oh, I didn't do a Han Solo and say I know like I did earlier in the game. I love you too. Whatever happens, I want you to know that you're the best thing that's ever happened to me, Tammy says. This is lovely to hear. I would have self-destructed if it weren't for you. I swear I'd be dead by now. Wow, it's deep. But you saw potential where somebody else would have given up. You healed me effortlessly. Tammy was cool. Glad I married Tammy and didn't cheat on her with a robot. It's always for the best. Yeah, let's go for that. Tammy squeezes your hand and you kiss. When you begin to make love... Flipping heck. When you begin to make love, Tammy is hesitant at first, as if your new condition makes you fragile, but you soon prove to her that you know. Oh wow, sometimes this game is very embarrassing to play and stream, but that's part of the fun, I think. The next day, you take Miku to the dump just outside home, just for a walk. You're not going to put her in the dump. She likes going to the dump. It's one of her favourite places. Hoping walking around one of her favourite places will cheer him up. The idea that you may not always be around seems to have put Miku in a somewhat melancholy mood. I'm not young anymore either, Master, Miku says. You might not think of me as aging, but technology ages even faster than people. I just look old and clunky compared to new, genetically engineered stuff coming out these days. Everybody thinks of humanoid robots as unfashioned now. When you built me, people would throw away their computers after just 4 years. Their phones after 2. So my computer's actually broken, my old one, and I've kept it. I haven't thrown it away. Keep that stuff. It could be rebuilt and repurposed in the future. I've kept all of my old phones as well, actually. I've got... where is it? I've got one of these babies, which is good. I mean, I'm considering, like, I like what Captain America and Iron Man do in the Civil War movie and have secret phones. I'd love to have secret phones, like these. I might get some for people at Christmas. That'd be fun. Nobody's going to throw you away, you assure Miku. Without you, I'll probably stop working someday. Miku looks up into the distance. Master, if I die, do you think I will continue to exist after death in some form? Wow. This is so hot! Oh, wait, I know. I thought that was said, you don't have a soul, but it didn't say that. I don't see why you couldn't have a soul. Really? Miku asks. Certainly. Turing argued the same thing back in the first paper about artificial intelligence. In attempting to construct such machines, we should not be irreverently usurping his power of creating souls, any more than we are in the procreation of children. Rather, we are, in either case, instruments of his will, providing mansions for the soul that he creates. That's amazing that he remembers all of that. Miku gives you a funny look. You memorized all that, Master? Is that so surprising, you say? I always did think of you as my child. Aww, wholesome. I would love to memorize the entire book of Slaughterhouse 5, but that's going to take me a while. I can only remember passages from it. Miku gives you a solemn look. If you die, I will destroy myself as well. No, you need to be alive so that you can tell my story. Nobody else knows it as well as you. Yeah, I'll keep Miku alive. Miku looks dejected as though the telling of your story, the thought of telling your story about you. But Ri nods. Yes, Master, I will do as you say, plus fame. How famous am I now? Mentioned in history textbooks, yes! Oh, heck yeah! In real life, I would love, it's very egotistical, but since the Bromley Library appears in my novel, I'd love for it to be renamed the Robert Rostad Memorial Library 100 years after I die. That would be the dream. I wouldn't know, but it would be cool. Thank you, you say. Tell them the bad parts too. Tell them my mistakes. If anyone can be saved from making the same ones, then it will all have been worthwhile. Yes, Master. The sun is setting, so you head home before it gets dark. You recall from your earliest days making chatbots that the earliest parts of the conversation for an AI were always the beginning and the end. As in a chess game, there are only so many ways to open hello, hey, what's up? And as in a chess game, once the action is done, there are only so many ways it makes sense to close. We should do this again sometime, or it's getting late. The pieces are off the board, and such moves will never be made. So too with life, there are only so many ways to say goodbye. Celebratory. You celebrated a birthday. The next day, you do have a double birthday party at your condo for Tabit and Miku's newly constructed child robot. Miku is creatively dubbed Miku 2. Wow, this is brilliant. Tabit's friends are a mix of boys and girls, and all talking about internet programs. You're just familiar enough to make sure they were appropriate for Tabit to watch. You admit you don't really follow their discussion of the characters and plots. Miku 2 is looking around at everything, very confused but clearly excited, and Miku is patiently narrating the whole thing. This thing I'm putting on you now is called a party hat. This is so wholesome, I love it. Tammy is there as well, helping you with crowd control. You're pretty good at babysitting, she says, at one point impressed. Well, I did effectively do it for a long time, you say. The gifts are all in a pile on the table, and you eye the box containing the paints and easel you brought Tabit. Is it pushing too hard, your gift, trying to make Tabit who you want him to be? Well, you think. He'll have plenty of decisions to make later in life. It couldn't hurt to give him a nudge in a good direction. You smile to see Mum's wrapped gift on the table. You'll have to call her later in the party and let her video chat in. So if I have kids, I wouldn't really want to push them to be interested in the same things that I am, but I would definitely be happy if they started learning about Ulysses and Slaughterhouse 5 and asked to play Magic the Gathering. That is the dream. You go into the kitchen to retrieve the cake, and your vision begins to fade. Amy says, sorry Rob, I must go. This was a great stream. Good night. Night, Amy. Thanks for coming around. I'm going to upload this to YouTube, so I have a feeling the ending is going to pop up soon, but it will be on YouTube, so don't worry about it. You have a good evening. Brofist. And yeah, we're getting towards the end now. It's getting. What's happening now? You go into the table to retrieve the cake, and your vision begins to fade. feel lightheaded, and there is a roaring in your ears like the sea growing louder. When did you stop being able to see anything? You can't see. No, not today. I'll try my damnedest to shake it off. You start shaking your head and hands, trying to get some feeling in them again, and it seems to work. It seems like what Spider-Man would do in this situation, so you keep doing it, hoping that nobody walks in and sees you shaking like a mad person. It seems to help. It's not getting worse, though you're feeling very lightheaded. Gradually, your vision returns. You see the cake in front of you. You can hear the babble of the party in the next room. You wait a moment, but it doesn't return. You scoop up the cake and return to the party. Miku too looks at the cake in puzzlement, then reaches for it. Wait, don't eat that, Miku says. Your digestive system isn't fully implemented yet. Tablet smiles and his friends let up a little adorable cheer. Someday I'll have to leave you think, but not today. Your heart is bursting with all of the things you want to say to Tablet and Miku too. All of the things you want to teach them. But for now, you just want to say how glad you are that they're alive, and you express it the traditional way. On this most beautiful of days. Happy birthday to you. The end. Wow! That was an awesome game. We hope you've enjoyed playing Choice of Robots. We release new games on a regular basis. Type your email address below. We'll notify you when the next game is ready. You know what? I'm going to do that. Let's enter it there. Thank you for subscribing. Next. I can't believe we finished it. There are many lives you could have chosen to lead. Click on achievements below to see the pubs you had yet to try. Thank you for playing Choice of Robots. Wow. So that was Choice of Robots. I had a really good time playing that game, and although it got really deep towards the end, I was quite happy with how it went. I think it was a success. 92% with Tammy. That's the important thing. I didn't cheat on Tammy with the robot, which is also really good. Well, thanks everyone. I've had a really good time with that. I'm going to upload it to YouTube. I hope you've had as good time as I have with it. So I've had a really great time with this game. It's definitely the best £5 I've ever spent on a game. And yeah, I'm going to leave that for tonight. I hope you've enjoyed today's stream. Either tomorrow, which is rare, or Tuesday, we are going to stream. Where is it? Where's the tab? Toby Ziegler, what's he doing there? We are going to stream The Amazing Spider-Man, Spider Hunt, which I am going to read tonight. And either stream tomorrow and Wednesday. I think I might stream it on Wednesday to give my voice a rest and to give everyone a bit of a break. So, thanks everyone. Good night. I hope you've enjoyed today's stream. Owen, I'm going to phone you in a moment, but first I've been holding in the need to go to the toilet for an hour. So, sorry. Give me a second. Bye everyone.